welcome to this week's episode of TMBS Draft Central. Of course, I'm Jeff Barnes along with Bill Carroll, Greg Rector, and you see a special face joining us this week. That is our new draft analyst here at TMBS Media, Randall Slifer. So, Randall, welcome to the team.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Indeed, we're all excited to have you. We're going to spend a lot of time next week together, so, wanted to go out there and get you some time on the here and now and get you comfortable and get you all broken in on Team MBS.
That's perfect. I love it.
There we go. So we're 8 days away from night one of the draft. We've had some things go on the last couple of weeks, so let's get into the current events. We know about Jaden Bond's situation. One of the, we always find out about character concerns. Well, this is one of those big ones that's ongoing while you're in the draft process. One of those things that can hurt you really, really bad.
Yep. Isaiah is a 20-year-old athlete who should have stayed in college. Correct. I don't care. He is not ready to be an NFL wide receiver, and this character issue that's now come up further exemplifies that whole point as far as I'm concerned, because he was a superstar player at Alabama, and I didn't see it on the field. I didn't see anything at the University of Texas either that made him come out to me as this is a guy who can be an NFL wide receiver. I don't see it, and now he's got the case against him, so he's always been down on my board anyway.
I said Jaden Bond. It's Isaiah Bond.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Jaden Blue, who's also got accusations against him recently.
Yep.
So it's all coming home to roost right before the draft.
Oh, and what school did they both go to? Oh, yeah, hook 'em. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, unfortunate news on the LSU front. We hate to see that situation happen. Young man taking his own life. To say the least, I mean, you never want to see that happen. We know the circumstances that he was facing. To me, you're still a young man. You have a lot of life left ahead of you. Yep. I don't think, whether I think it was, that bad that you had to do that. He thought it was that bad. That's the problem that we have.
Yeah.
My condolences go out to his family. To say the least. I mean, it makes a big difference. Everybody's talking draft, but we never want to see a young man take his own life, more or less lose his life, and especially taking his own life that young. But with that being said, we're hearing a lot of talk. We've been talking about Shedeur Sanders. Up and down boards, everywhere you turn.
Yep.
Give me your impressions now, because now he's allegedly going to hold another workout privately for certain teams, one of them being the New York Football Giants. God, what are you making of this Shedeur Sanders situation?
He is a very media savvy young person, right? He's grown up. I mean, he is in the same generation as my daughter. He doesn't know what it's like to not have social media exist, right? He doesn't know a world before, right? My daughter began to imagine what the world was like around the same time that YouTube goes on air, right? She doesn't understand that there was a world prior. And frankly, Shedeur Sanders is a top quarterback prospect. He's most people's number 2. A few people have him as quarterback 1. I can't have him quite that high for a couple of reasons, mostly physical stuff, right? There's also some things in terms of, his wiring in terms of like trying to go for big plays that aren't really there and underthrowing deep balls. It's little things, they're not things that, once again, my first line of my scouting report months ago was swaggy Teddy Bridgewater. And he has a lot of the strengths and weaknesses, except, pocket presence. Like Teddy Bridgewater hasn't beat there, but he's got some other things that make him a good prospect. But when you are a top quarterback prospect, one of the top quarterback prospects. And it's a quarterback light draft, right? That's, I think, a almost universally accepted thing, that he's one of the two quarterbacks that most people feel like are more likely than not, to be long-term stars in the NFL. Everyone else is sort of more of an unproven commodity in terms of being an actual NFL starter at the next level. So he's got that in his favor. And like I said, it's a very light class. He would have been fighting for the number 6 spot, right, last year, but he's not. So he has a chance to, it's just like before you sign your enlistment papers, right? If you're a alpha, right, you scored really well on your ASVAB, you've got clean character, all this stuff. Before you sign, at least, you've got the opportunity to negotiate and be sort of wined and dined a little bit as a possible recruit. And then, of course, once you sign, all that goes away, which is how college football and the military is very different, because everything goes away instantly once you've signed. In one case, while you can still be a high quality, high valued prospect once you signed in the other place. But he is maximizing his opportunities, right? We wouldn't be down on a young person who was a mechanical engineer maximizing their opportunities professionally. We wouldn't have a problem with that. Nobody would ever complain once about somebody who was in computer science or music business or anything else, maximize their opportunities. So he's simply doing what other young college graduates do, or in his case, I don't know if he actually finished his degree yet, but young person who's done with college, at least for a while. He's trying to position himself professionally. I don't have a problem with that. My only real issues, like I said, are some of the actual stuff on tape, right? Some of the things he can and can't do well, at least yet, as an actual pro prospect. And, I wish he maybe spent a little more time in the weight room, right? Just physically speaking, he looks like a guy that, he looks fit, he looks trim, but you can tell there are parts of his body that could be more developed at this point in his playing career, getting ready to take hits at the NFL level. But he's just doing what anyone else in his position should be doing, in my opinion.
Let's hear from the fresh voice in the room. Randall, what's your idea?
Yeah, I agree. Shedeur is my quarterback number 2. I think he has good processing. I think he is accurate. I think he can already put the football in a pin spot sort of thing. I'm curious how the Giants are seeing it and what the word is in that background for the New York Giants, whether John Mara was stepped in and was like, okay, well, we're going to do this workout because here's our quarterback situation, and maybe I do want a quarterback right now. Or are the Giants bringing him in as a 50-50 question mark? Or are they trying to at least keep the stigma of the number 3 draft stock important into a trade-up process if they're thinking about trading back? Because I do believe, with positional value included, quarterbacks going in the first round on a consistent basis with a 5th-year option, is that Shedeur does deserve to be in the top 10 based on his talent and based on the positional value. So why not get your stock going at that number 3 spot? And if somebody does rethink that they want Shedeur, then the number 3 pick can be worth more than what it may be when there's rumors of Shedeur going to 21 or in the 20s and beyond sort of thing. Try and get that number 3 draft stock as high as you possibly can, if that were to be the case.
Greg, your feelings?
Well, the New Orleans Saints apparently need a quarterback now because Derek Carr has an injury to his shoulder, so do the Saints move up to that 3rd spot? We don't know, right? I still think it's going to be the Giants that end up taking Shedeur, and that's just my bottom line to this. I think John Mara doesn't get too involved with the actual drafting process up there, but again, this is the biggest media market that there is. So, hey, and Shedeur Sanders certainly understands what the media market is all about. I was interested to see that he said, I feel good being right under the center because Dad and Mom taught me how to do that when I was very young. Well, they didn't teach him how to move up in that pocket to throw a football.
Right.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Well, We have about 5 minutes before our first guest joins. Guys, how are you feeling the week before about this class? Sometimes, going into the process, you're doing all the evaluation, you have a different feel for it. When you finally finish it, you go, it's a stronger class than I thought. It's not as strong as I believe at first before I graded everybody. How do you guys feel about it?
I'm unchanged, right? I always thought the class was better than a lot of people did. I think it's a very deep group of interior, both defensive and offensive line. I think if you need a guard or a center, if you need a defensive tackle, this is your draft. I also like the safeties more than most people. I think it's a solid group of corners. It's a really deep group of running backs. So there are certain positions that are deeper than usual. I think, unfortunately, people become so quarterback-centric that the fact that it's not a super deep group of quarterbacks has made people misperceive the entire draft class. It's a very good draft class with a thin group of quarterbacks, right? That's where I entered the process. Like once the season ended, college football season ended, that's what my assessment was at that point. And for me, very little has changed.
How about you, Randall?
I agree. I mean, I am higher on overall consensus for this draft. I think the draft is really exciting. I understand that it is a depth draft, but like the running backs and wide receivers, I think the wide receivers are getting a little hate because there is no Malik Neighbors or anything along those lines. Tat McMillan is that large X, but some people have questions about Tat and his press man and things like that. But it's a good deep draft. Like you're looking at people like Jaden Higgins. You have tall, shifty guys. And the amount of running backs and wide receivers that ran in the 4.3s is insane. So the middle wide receivers get super intriguing when it comes to people like Kyle Williams that are small school. You have Jack Bash. You have Jaden Higgins. You have Jalen Knoll. That was his running mate. There's a lot of intriguing wide receivers that will carve themselves more impactful roles than people think. It's just not top heavy like what we've seen recently.
Greg.
Well, Mr. Jeff, I need you to put away the Jimmy Johnson trade chart. It's going away this year. It goes away because the value of these players isn't considered to be the high value that you normally pick. If let's say the Cowboys move back from 12 to 20 with the Broncos, it's not going to get them a second-round pick. It would be a third-round pick. It's going to be a different type of draft than what people are used to seeing. And that's just the way it is because of this type of class that we have. Oh, next year we have quarterbacks, okay? So everybody can go gaga over the damn quarterback again next year. I'm loving this draft because it's not quarterback-centric. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't really changed. I was, I know people are really beating up the quarterback position, especially. You don't have a top-heavy quarterback class this year. And that's a good thing at times, right? You look at the second group of guys, they're solid guys. They have upside. There's a high ceiling, low floor on those guys, but they're solid guys. You don't get past the top guys and have this huge fall-off this year like you had last year where you had that first five, and then you had a bunch of space before you got to that next group of guys. And you start to see why this year. I think this year you're going to see some of these guys are going to stick around. They're going to get time on the bench. And then eventually some of these guys are going to turn out to be pretty good quarterbacks. They may not be top-tier quarterbacks in the league, but they may stick around for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody can't have an elite. If there were 32 elite quarterbacks, everybody would have them, right? So I think what people are starting to understand is, hey, if we're in the top of the first round – and we have a couple of veterans, we don't have to spend high right now. We can turn around and come back in round two with a guy that we think is a project with a high upside and utilize that. Let him learn for 2 years. Before you know it, he's starting. He's got experience. Well, he's going to get more experience, but he's got experienced guys leading the way for him that are capable of teaching him. Unlike some of the guys in the past where you bring him in, the guy you signed before was your franchise. He doesn't want to give it up. He doesn't teach the guy anything. And that rookie sat there and learned nothing for 2 years. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around with some of these teams. Don't be surprised if it happens at 1, 2, or 3. One of those teams does exactly just that.
Exactly.
So it's time for our first guest of the evening. All right. And we're going to start where it really makes sense first, guys. We're going to start at the line of scrimmage with the big guys, the offensive line. And we're going to welcome to the show Christophe Atkinson. We're going center and guard from Ohio. Welcome to the show, Christophe.
How's it going, gentlemen? It's a pleasure to be on.
Pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you for coming on. We know it's a busy time for you, and we're going to get into this, so we're not going to keep you up too late. We've been taking this late the past few weeks, so tonight's going to be an early wrap tonight, especially when next week is going to be a whole lot of our faces on screen. And we hope next week that you're going to be having a lot of fun somewhere with your family, enjoying this process as it comes to a close.
Yes, sir. It's really exciting, especially I heard Bill talking about the fact that it's the time to get big guys up front, center and guard. So hopefully that is good for me as well. I'm excited.
It is a good year for that. I really like this group of interior offensive linemen. And since you are an interior offensive lineman, let's start. When you were younger, you played multiple positions and played multiple sports. When were you? Some say some people are born to do something, some people are chosen to do something, and then some people are told to do something. What was your journey like to the interior of the offensive line?
Yes. So from a football standpoint, I never grew up playing football or watching football. Both of my parents are from Northern Ireland, and I was born in Germany. So I have British citizenship, and coming over to America, I really didn't know anything about football as a sport. However, something to it just drew me. Right. I grew up playing soccer and swimming, and especially for being big for my age, it, never felt right. I always told my mom, like, I want to be more active. I want to hit someone. I want to be physical. And it took a lot of convincing, but I finally was able to convince her with the help of my dad and a family friend named Billy Davis, who played for the Cardinals a little bit. We finally got to convince her to let me play some football. And my first position, I believe, playing in the rec leagues, they had a weight limit. So I actually played tackle as my very first position. And my mom was adamant that I wasn't going to be an offensive lineman because she wanted me to be skinny and fast and move around the field. So I ended up joining a grassroots league where they let me play tight end and defensive line. And that's kind of where my football journey really took off. It was great to see some of that competition. And then I got into high school and I continued my tight end career. And then it got to the state championship our junior year, and I sprained my ankle. And my coach looked at me and he said, well, you're not going to run any go routes, but we can still use you in the blocking. So I ended up becoming like a fullback / extra tackle in that end of that season. And then the next season, he was like, hey, I thought you played really well there. So if you want to play college football, I think this is where you're going to fit. So I just continued that trend going on.
You had your pro day a little while back, and that's sometimes a learning experience, right? Beyond what scouts have to say or which things you hear from teams. Also, people learn things about themselves. Sometimes they learn that they're lighter or heavier than they thought they were. Sometimes they're taller, or more often shorter than they thought they were. Sometimes faster, more often slower than they thought they were. But tell me, what was your pro day experience like, and did your expectations match up with your results?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think everyone wishes they were bigger, faster, and stronger, right? Especially that's a pretty big interview for us as college football players. Your pro day is kind of the stamp on your season and shows NFL teams what you're made of. And I would say for the most part, I think I performed very well. There was definitely some hiccups along the way, but I pushed through. And the consensus from a lot of the scouts were that they were very impressed with my attitude, very impressed with how I performed and the things that I did. And they thought that I had a great – honestly, they just really enjoyed my energy and personality. A lot of them came up to me afterwards and were talking about how, hey, like, I really enjoyed you out there. Like, thanks for bringing the energy, man. Like, those kinds of things that, I think, it's obviously a game of statistics and stats. And if you can't perform, then, unfortunately not going to make it. But I think that as long as your personality can shine through as well, there'll be a place for you somewhere.
Yeah. Well, as the old saying goes, attitude helps to decide your altitude. I would like to also find out your actual factuals. when you were weighed and measured, where did you actually come in, your height and weight?
Yes, sir. I came in right about, if not a little bit more than 6'3", and my weight was right around like 310, I believe.
And is that where your goal was, to be at about 310?
Yeah, I was talking to my agent and trainer, and they said they want me to run a little bit quicker. So I lost a little bit of weight to make sure that I was moving from the season. Yes, sir.
Okay. And testing numbers. Once again, in terms of the things that you expected, what were the testing numbers in comparison to what you were hoping to get?
Yeah, well, in training, I was doing very well, especially with the bench. I feel like I'm a very physical, strong player. So the bench was something I was looking forward to. In training, I was able to hit around 33s, 34s. But, some events leading up, maybe I didn't recover well. I mean, the drive from Mississippi, but, at the end of the day, there's no excuses. You got to perform. I was only able to get 29, but that's still quite a good performance. And then I was able to PR on my broad jump, touching 9 feet. And then other than that, my numbers were pretty comparable to guys at the combine. So I thought that was very good for me.
Excellent. Were you able to garner any actual feedback from any of the NFL personnel that came?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, a lot of it was positive feedback. A lot of them liked my attitude, especially with how I was able to push through and continue. I feel as though some of them definitely were impressed by the numbers I was able to put up, especially because of the fact that they were very comparable to the high end of what was done at the combine. So a lot of them were impressed with that. And then a lot of them were just talking to my agent about, hey, like, keep in touch, like, let us know what's going on. So overall, I thought it was a very positive response.
My last question before I let other people actually ask questions. So back in the O-line room in beautiful, Bobcat land. And of course, they've got a nice little Canadian pipeline going there now, I've noticed, right?
It's true.
We've seen Rourke's come through. We've seen you come through. But who's back there in that offensive line room that we might be talking to about the NFL in a year or two?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with the nature of college football at the moment, I don't know who's going to be there, if we're being completely honest. We did have quite a big coaching change and shift.
Right.
Our head coach went to Charlotte, and our offensive line coach followed him. So we have a new offensive line coach, and overall, I think the response has been positive from the guys that I've been able to talk to. But I do feel I don't want to shoot myself in the foot being like, yeah, this is the guy, and he ends up going somewhere else. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I don't care if he goes let me rephrase that. I'd love for him to stay right there in beautiful Ohio. But if for some reason he lands with just a player that you think has the ability, like you, to make that jump to play against the best in the NFL, whether he stays there or not, but a guy that caught your eye.
Yes, sir. Honestly, there's quite a good amount of talent. One of the guys that I really like at the moment, who's very gritty, very hard. He may not necessarily be the biggest guy out there, but he definitely plays with a lot of heart and a lot of grit. Davion Witherspoon. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen the guy lose a one-on-one whenever we were being at practice and whenever coach needed him to go out there. I mean, he was only maybe touching 6'2", but he was out there playing tackle against like big competition. You know what I mean? So the kid can move, the kid can play. So I think that Davion's a good guy to watch for.
Excellent. Thank you.
So you are a Canadian?
No, I'm actually I have British citizenship.
British? Okay, you have British citizenship. Okay. So you redshirted the year that Nathan Rourke was there, and of course, then you played for 2 years behind Curtis. Curtis has a much stronger arm, as far as I'm concerned. Is Curtis Rourke as advertised as I've said he is? Because I am Canadian, right? So,
oh, really?
I am Canadian. So I have my little bit of Canadiana happening here with Curtis. And we all know that he played off the ACL injury this year as well.
Yes, sir.
That young man is just a plain tough young man, isn't he?
No, absolutely. Curtis was actually my roommate. I lived with him with a couple other guys for, I believe, 2 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, through that time, I mean, like you said, he's a tough guy. He's a great man of faith. He's awesome to work with, very positive in the weight room and locker room. But not only that, I mean, he can perform. I mean, even with, like you said, the ACL surgery, I feel as though he was able to compete with the best of them. Even getting his name mentioned in the Heisman race is a huge honor alone. You know what I mean? But you know, I don't want to sit here and compare brothers because I love them both. They're awesome guys. But like you said, I think that from like a movement perspective, maybe Nathan was a little bit better, and then maybe from in the pocket perspective, Curtis was a little bit better. But overall, they're great brothers, great people to be around, and I think they're going to perform well no matter where they are at the next level.
Well, Nathan's now the starting quarterback for the BC Lions up here in Canada. So, you know, there you have Nathan's role. But Curtis, we'll see what happens come 8 days from now, right?
No, absolutely. I was actually able to visit them both, I think, 2 spring breaks ago in Vancouver. It was really fun to go snap some balls to Nathan. It's a bit of an adjustment to get used to the motion of Canadian football, but, you know, it was really fun to go up there and train with them a little bit.
No, absolutely right. Do you like being more of the center or the guard?
If we're being completely honest, I'd love to be wherever they want me to be. I feel like that's one of the things I offer to the table is that I'm able to be a multi-tool. Especially here, I've played all 3 positions well. And even in a practice, I've gone from right guard, left guard to center, you know, in a matter of a series. But I think I played the whole season this year at right guard and all of last season pretty much at left and right guard. So I feel definitely a little bit more comfortable at the guard position, but I think no matter where they put me at, I'm ready to do what they need me to do.
Perfect. Go ahead, Randall.
So you took on a starting role into 2023, and walk me through that off season. And when did it start to click with you when you were doing, 600 plus snaps that you got very comfortable in the position and just kind of like sunk right in?
Yeah, I will say from the perspective of the offensive line at Ohio University, especially when I was there, we were very highly based on the mantra that we let the defense set up, and then no matter what they have, we adjust our play. So they might give us one play call, but in the back of our heads, we have to hold 7 or 8 to be ready for whatever they're going to audible to, which I hope will translate well to the next level. But honestly, especially with the room that we had, the support network, the older guys like looking out for you, I felt very comfortable even from my first snaps. We had been repping it for so long. We'd be doing extra film work together, extra drill work. So I mean, there was never a point where I didn't feel comfortable. I'm sure everyone doesn't feel perfectly comfortable when they first get to college. It's definitely an adjustment period. But whenever it was my time to be the starter guy, I felt like I was able to just roll right into that position because I've been preparing for it.
That's awesome. I love that. And was there any other offers for college that you're going to, or were you kind of just honed in to going to Ohio?
Yeah, well, so I committed very, very early. I committed, I believe, if not before my junior season, right after my junior season. That was partially because I, at the time, committed to a coach. His name was Bart Miller. I really enjoyed his energy, and especially because no one in my family or no one even from my high school had really gone through this process before the recruiting process. I felt like he was the coach I wanted to go with, and I wanted to play for him. And plus, the school is a beautiful place. I don't know if any of you guys have been up to Athens, but it is definitely a beautiful campus. So I committed really early, but there were definitely a couple other schools that I was considering, and a lot of other schools that wanted to see my senior film. But the recruiting process is difficult, and especially now with the transfer portal and the NIL opportunities, like I don't know how a high school student is doing it at the moment. It must be very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And do you root for any NFL team taking it? You moved over to the States. Did you fall in love with an NFL team?
That's a great question. Honestly, we might be. I grew up mostly in the Virginia area, the DC area. So the closest team would be the Commanders or the Redskins at the time, but the Commanders. But I don't necessarily have any allegiances. I know that might not be. I'm not a diehard fan of any of them, but whoever takes a shot on me or wants me to be a part of their program or sees that I can fit in well, I'm more than willing to be a diehard fan right then and there.
I love that, Mr. Barnes.
Sorry, I believe your microphone's muted.
Yeah, Jeff, you're muted.
Sorry,
There we go.
I didn't want you to hear all the clicking in the background while I'm clicking screens. So we can always get to ask the fun questions, the X's and O's. So the good thing about being center is you get to make all the line calls for the most part, unless you got a really, really good quarterback. So how many line calls did you have?
As a center this year, like at Ohio University,
Mm-hmm.
most of our calls were based off of, like, I'm sure you guys know, like calling the combos, identifying the first linebacker in the core. Not only that, but we had to look at down and distance to make sure that everyone knew the situation, like where we were on the field. We were also looking at the contours of the safeties because that can often dictate where the blitz is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I know our coach kind of joked about it, but at the next level, you have to look at the salary point as well. If you're a rookie on a rookie contract, they're probably not going to cheat it as much as someone that is guaranteed to have their 6 years. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But we had a lot of things as a center that we were responsible for, especially this year. Our coach felt very confident in our center, who was actually Parker this year, because he was a guy that's been there just as long as myself. So a lot of pressure was put on him, but because we had older guards as well, I was right there making calls to the tackle, letting him know what was said, passing on information, making the call sometimes when we had a younger center maybe going. So, that's kind of what the process was like.
Okay. So odd versus even. And odd's kind of different from when I was playing. Usually you had your nose and you had your two linebackers, but a lot of teams like to run that 3-3 stack, which kind of makes it a little bit different for you guys. But give me your process for identifying the mic when you're going against odd fronts versus even.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely look at where the strength of the defense is, right? You have to understand what formation you're in as an offense.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes teams will line it up more to where your back is versus your tight end, potentially, right? But for us, we kind of looked at personnel. For us, it was based off of like the studying we did before the game and understanding not only what numbers and names of everyone was on the defense, but also like what their second or backup was, or if this happened, how would they rotate? So that was always something that we were talking about and communicating as an O-line, whether that be the changes on the defense or where everyone was. Like, maybe they'll split out and widen, or maybe they'll drop, they'll shift over. But, those are all things that we were able to handle because of the prep work that we had done.
Okay. So I know you've seen double A gap pressure.
Yes.
So tell me how you were able to not only match it with protection calls, how you guys did against it.
Right. So are you talking like a mad blitz or a mad cross, like double linebackers, or?
Well, just the look, because the look is what you're going to get first. And then, of course, you're going to be able to come up and say, all right, based on down and distance or tendency they're showing, right, this linebacker's tilting, this one's a little flat, he's probably going to be the dropping linebacker, right? So you're looking for that. So that's what I want to hear is how are you identifying it and saying, okay, we're going to go Bob right, things of that nature.
Yeah, so part of it was based off of the call, right? Whatever the coaching staff gave us. We did a lot of man slide protection. But at the same time, if we knew that with how they lined up, that there was going to be a high probability of pressure, we had that freedom to almost change the slide, right? So if we know that while they are going to double A-gap blitz, that one of their end will drop out, we will adjust and then slide more towards away from the drop, right? So for us, it would be like a Glock Liz or a buck out to where we're sliding more towards that A gap and protecting ourselves, or we'll maybe even run like a Omaha protection where we all kind of level back and then we're reading of who's going to drop out and then slide it accordingly to wherever the men are.
Were you more comfortable sliding versus double A, or were you more comfortable going by?
For us, I think, or at least myself, I love having the guy on me. I love that responsibility. You know, I know for a fact that if I lock him down, he's not going anywhere. So if I'm posting down or setting as a center to cover that gap, then I'm there. But it really does depend on the scheme from that point. You know, if it's better to man it, then we'll man it. If it's better to slide it, then we'll slide it. I think as an offensive lineman, you have to be ready to handle any of those situations. So at that point, it's not really up to what I prefer. It's whatever's best for the team. Especially as an offensive lineman, that's what you have to do. So you got to be comfortable with whatever they need you to do.
Perfect. You guys got anything else for him?
Well, I always have that tough question for everybody.
Oh,
What is your favorite meal?
favorite meal? Honestly, you can't go wrong with a nice big steak. And my mom's
Here we go. We're right back. We're right back to the old steaks. Last week, I didn't have any player say steak.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
What about you, Greg? What was your favorite meal?
he's an interior offensive lineman, Greg, to be fair.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
of course. So, of course,
What
he's
cut
gonna
of
load up
steak?
on beef.
Well, I've had the fortune of probably the biggest steak I've ever had was a 64-ounce tomahawk, and that was pretty delicious.
Finished it clean?
Oh, absolutely. No other
There you
way.
go.
Chewing the bone.
Atta boy.
You got me beat by a mile.
Yeah.
Biggest steak I ever finished was a 32-ounce porterhouse.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And they had to roll me out of there. Okay.
You would have liked the prime beef that my dad used to cook for the Edmonton Eskimos after their games. You would have loved that.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm my mouth is watering just contemplating more meat than steak.
There you are. There you are.
I'll ask two final quick ones. Every player has a game where you look back and think, man, I was in the zone. Like, for whatever reason, like you just played. Not that, I mean, obviously you're consistently good on tape, but there's one game that stands out where you think, my God, like where you wish every game could be that game. What game would be the game you would circle, right? The game that you would want showing, you know, to everyone who ever walks through the door where you live, the game that would be playing when they walk in. What game is that?
Right. Well, I think if I could narrow it down, there's definitely two. One was whenever we played Kent State this year, I was very fortunate and blessed to actually be named the PFF Guard of the Week after we played that game. So obviously I did something right, you know, so that's a huge accomplishment in itself. But my first, one of my first couple games, actually, I think last year, if not the year before when I was able to play, was against Iowa State. And that was just an awesome environment, number one, but it was my first double knockdown in a game at the collegiate level. So that just kind of set the tone for that game. And I just love being physical and playing against some big Midwestern boys, you know, and being able to play and be physical with them, even though people, you know, they don't necessarily look down on the MAC, but some of those bigger schools, they believe that, you know, they're bigger guys on top of us, but just be able to go and compete and show them that just because you're bigger than me doesn't mean you don't fall. You know what I mean? The bigger the tree, the harder it falls, or however the saying goes.
Yeah, no problem. No, and my best sport was actually wrestling, and I remember coaches say they're all the same height on their backs.
Absolutely.
So the other thing I wanted to make sure I asked before we let you go, there's, as you mentioned, it sort of is a natural extension of what you just talked about. You've gone up against, well, just in the MAC, you've gone up against some pretty good players. I mean, Darius Alexander's absolute killer. You've gone against some really good players. Obviously, you've played against the Big Ten guys and other guys. When you think about the players that have pushed you the most, that have asked the most of you in terms of your talent and preparation, who are the guys that brought the best out of you, and why them?
Yeah. I mean, right off the top of my head, I definitely think about CJ West. I believe he transferred to Indiana along with Curtis. So another callback to the Canadians. But, I remember playing against him, and, our coaching staff definitely was heavily focused on him as a player because he is a very devastating player, especially whenever he's playing through blocks as a D lineman. But, I felt like we had a very good matchup, went back and forth. And I think, like Marshawn Lynch says, you got to get yours more than you get got. So I think, in my opinion, I got mine. But, hopefully I'll get to see him at the next level. That would be awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so very much.
How was Sunday at the house with the family watching Rory McIlroy win the Masters? How was that?
That's actually quite cool. I believe he's from Northern Ireland as well.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. And it's quite cool to see people from where you're from win things. You know what I mean? And I actually think that my aunt at one point actually knew him personally for a little bit. So it's really cool. Unfortunately, no connection at the moment right now. But, it's really fun, and it's awesome to see people succeed and do what he did. I believe he actually made a really big accomplishment, right? I don't follow golf very well.
Well, he's now won all 4 majors, so he's got the Grand Slam of golf.
That's right. He got the Grand Slam. So that's impressive. I mean, to see people perform at the top of their sport is just amazing, no matter what sport it is.
Perfect.
All right. Any last questions, Randall?
No, I'm good. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much, gentlemen. I really appreciate you taking the time and inviting me on your show. It's really awesome. I really enjoyed the candor, and you guys seem like a great bunch of guys. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. It is a pleasure watching you, and I look forward to continuing to watch you at the next level.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I got one question for you. And this one's not an X's and O's, so we're going to get back to it. Because you are a late bloomer. You're a guy that started late because, you're coming from a different sport. And the violence is what got you into the game, right? So let's talk about your most violent block. That one block that we can put on the screen and say, he finished this man. Tell me about that one block that you would say is your defining block.
Yeah, I definitely am a physical player. I've been fortunate for the past 2 years to win the pancake trophy in our offensive line room. Me and the guy that had the most knockdowns in the season twice in a row. So I think there's almost every game there's one that you're like, that's a good one. Like, I can't wait for the boys to see that when we do knockdowns. Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel like the most pivotal one, the one that really, let me know that, like, here we go, like, let's get started, was that, like I mentioned, the double knockdown against Iowa. I just remember coming off the block. I believe it was a cutoff, and the guy was moving, and I just, you get that right angle. You're underneath his pads, and you feel him like a little bit of shock when you hit him. Like, he's never been hit like that. And you lift him up, and then you just plant him down on the ground, and you feel the turf kind of compress. And I don't wear gloves, so I like the feeling of my knuckles getting a little bit scraped as I put him into the ground. And then I push off, and I'm like, I see the linebacker, and he's coming. He's trying to get through the opposite A gap. That's where our back is going. And I just remember turning my head and shoulder and just, like, laying out, because I was like, I got to get this guy. I got to block him. Like, our running back's right there. And I just remember feeling him bounce off of my shoulder, and I just, like, see him out of my face mask just carry on and fall down as well. So that's probably the one play that, like, if we could put that on wraparound, I'd love to see it over and over.
Listen, I wholeheartedly understand how you feel. I've been on the wrong end of those. So, as a corner, the worst thing that could happen is a play comes all the way back at you. And we used to play against a running back, Tim Hudson. And he was our version of Barry Sanders. He's a guy that would take a toss left, stop, cut it all the way back across, and still run for 80 yards in the TD. Oh. And one of those times he did that was a time where he went left. I'm on the left corner, but he went opposite. He went right. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to flow and get ready just in case anything bounces back. And he comes all the way back, and I feel I've got him dead to rights. What I forgot about was the receiver that was supposed to block me. And he set me up perfectly. So he gave me that little inside step, and I said, I'm gonna light you up. And as soon as he did that and tried to bounce outside, I turned, and there was that receiver.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he darn near dislocated my jaw. Yeah. So I understand how it feels to be on the wrong end of those.
I'm sure you have some big hits as well, though. I'm sure you've done that to
Oh,
a
I
couple.
do. I mean,
Absolutely.
I do. I mean, the good thing about it was I was a physical corner. I idle. Listen, I like Deion Sanders as much as everybody else, but I was not as fast as Deion. I never tried to pattern my game after somebody I could never be. But I patterned my game against a guy that my first, 2 highlights of him was one of them was him picking off Vinny Testaverde and going for 6. The other one was him knocking Ernest Givens out of a game when he came into the flat, Isaac Holt. So, and Isaac Holt wasn't the fastest corner, but believe you me, when he hits you, he hits you.
HBCU and an HBCU guy also.
Yes,
Yes,
he
he was.
was. So next week, what's the plan?
Next week, continuing to train, continue to eat right, and pray about it. Hopefully, get a call, and if not, that's not the end of the world. Just continue to train and move forward. You know what I mean? I don't think that I can let a couple of days define who I am as a player. Whether that means that I am getting a call or not getting a call. You just got to keep moving forward, and something will happen.
Well, no matter what happens, we're excited for you. We're rooting for you. Next week, we are live all 3 days. So if you get the call, whether it's during or after, you're more than welcome to come on and celebrate. Like I said, we're here the day after, the week after, I should say, to recap everything. So if you want to just come on and say, I want to thank everybody in the world for me getting this shot, by all means, you're more than welcome to come on.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. I hope to be on that call. That'd be very exciting.
There you go.
Wonderful. Well, you get some rest, Christophe. Thanks for coming on. And everybody, make sure you're looking out for Christophe Atkinson, guard from Ohio.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We have another guest coming up with more Team MBS Draft Central right after this.
Streetwear is not dead. The next wave of black fashion comes out of the Bronx, New York. Rich Kid Clothing, picking up where FUBU, Rockaware, and Kyle Kanai left off. Rich Kid is for the next generation of Get Fly fashion heads. Use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order. And for orders over $100, there is free shipping. Again, use promo code MELLOW23 for 15% off your next order.
Draft Central is looking for an official sponsor. As the official sponsor of Draft Central, you get product placement in every episode, commercial advertising, and your logo on all Draft Central merch. Contact us at info@TeamMBS Media for more information.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build the cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. # built for the wild.
And we are back here on Team MBS Draft Central, and we're going to get ready to bring on our next guest. I believe he is in the building. I see the camera for him. But thanks again to Christophe Atkinson. So, guys, we've been on the opposite side of the ball. We talked to the big guys. Get a little bit lighter. Go to the defensive front. Josiah Silva's in the house. New Hampshire. Josiah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
First of all, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jed.
Go ahead, Bill.
I just got super excited. I may be the biggest fan in the draft community of this young man, only in part because he's from #757. That is only part of what makes him amazing. Some people, as I said, are born to do something. Some people grow to do something. In the case of Josiah Silver, a little bit of both. When you at what moment in your life do you realize God put me on this earth to knock the crap out of quarterbacks? When did you have that realization?
So when I first started playing football, I played linebacker. So like, I started playing football at the age of 4. Played linebacker until my 8th grade, and then I started playing Pop Warner, and my coach was like, I don't think you're not fast enough to go sideline to sideline, so like let's move you to defensive end. I was like, all right, we could try it. And then boom, started playing defensive end my 8th grade year. Fell in love with it. Went to high school. My freshman year, started JV, and I was like, okay, like getting after the quarterback is like what I like to do, and it's been what I do since.
And you're one of the best. I shout out to Jim Nagy, of course, is now the director of player personnel at Oklahoma University. But I bothered him extensively leading up to the last Senior Bowl. You're on my list of people I was trying to bother him to get into the Senior Bowl. Didn't quite work out. But walk me through your process. Season ends, right? You had a great season, 11.5 sacks, 63 tackles, monster season. And then as your season winds down, what happens from then to now? What has your process been, Josiah? So
my process has been kind of crazy. So unfortunately, our last game against Maine, I had a knee injury. I had to sit out our playoff game. I had dislocated my kneecap, broke off some cartilage, and I had to get surgery to get the cartilage removed. So really, since the season has really just been road to recovery. So I've been doing a whole bunch of rehab and just making sure I'm 100% in the next couple of days for everything that's leading up. But I was fortunate enough to be able to do my pro day and things like that. But yeah, it's just been a grind. I was sidelined until mid-February. I wasn't able to run. So once I was able to run, I just put my head down and went to work. So not the typical off season, but
not typical. Were you able to get back up to the weight you wanted to get to? Because I know you lost a little weight at one point.
Yes, I was. The weight part was after surgery. I was fine. Started taking creatine, and I was hitting the upper body like every day. So the weight wise I was able to get back. That was pretty easy.
What are you weighing now?
So I fluctuate around like 246 to 248, like somewhere in that range. So
a 2-pound fluctuation. Enjoy having your metabolism.
So, when people like 240, 245, 248. I haven't got up to 250. So 248 down.
Okay. And as you said, you didn't have the smooth run up to your pro day. In terms of the results that you got, how close were you in your mind to what you ended up actually being able to do at your pro day?
Some of them was kind of close. I actually PR and bench. I hit 19, but like while I was training, we almost questioned like if I should, but the adrenaline kicked in and just worked out. Everything else vertical. I didn't run a 40, but vertical. That was kind of what I thought it was going to be. Broad jump and L drill. I did a little bit better while I was training, but can't do nothing by it now. So it is what it is. And my shuttle was actually what I thought it was going to be.
Okay. And you came in at what, 6'1" and 5/8" or something like that? What was your official height?
I came in at 6 foot 6006. So
6 feet.
Yeah.
And my final question, well, not my final question. I'll have more questions later. But my final question right now before I open up to everyone else. I saw you develop a lot as a pass rusher, right? I saw you at Phoebus. I saw your career from its sort of beginning to now, or close to beginning to now. And at first you were just beating people with you're just beating. You're basically just running past them. Occasionally like swatted somebody. And then you began to build up an array of moves. Tell me about how that happened and what are your, say, 2 or 3 favorite go-tos now?
Sure. Like in high school, that's all you really needed. You just needed a explosive get off and just be able to bend the edge. It really came. So my freshman year was the COVID year, and I was fortunate enough to be able to come and practice for a whole year. And I learned that like the college level, you just can't run by someone. You actually got to develop a move. So then we come into my sophomore year. When I really still only had one move, which was the ghost, and I was able to just run around people. But once once my name started to get out there, more attention was coming my way. I had to actually develop a counter, had to develop a power rush. I was getting chipped way more than ever. So that's where I discovered that I had to do more. Is just I had to if I wanted to be productive because of how much attention I was getting. But my go-to is definitely number one is definitely two-hand swipe. That's go-to, and then for power, I developed a long arm. Then I like the stab club rip. And then the ghost is still in the bag. I just didn't get to pull it out that much because I was getting chipped or slide was coming to me every time. So, but it's just having a feeling of knowing which move to throw in certain situations. So,
got it. Thank you so much.
Randall, go right ahead.
Yeah, this year you've had some monster games, multiple sack games, multiple QB hits, like Albany. I think you hit the QB 5 times. How, when you're going through that game, or maybe even the night before when you're processing tape and things along the line, how do you stay mentally focused to make sure that you keep that explosive game going and don't kind of drift off for a while when you have those big statistical numbers?
I mean, honestly, it's just staying within myself and staying within the game. I never really look at stats until after the game. My main focus when I'm playing is to help my team win. So I just want to find ways to, just find ways to impact the game so my team wins. And the night before, I just told myself, like, tomorrow is another day. It's like everything I've done in practice. I just wanted to translate to Saturdays. So it's easy to just stay calm and composed, like when you treat it as just another day of practice.
Most definitely. And then what was your favorite game of your collegiate career where like everything was clicking and it was just hot the whole time?
So I have 2. Well, I'm gonna say Elon this year. I had 7 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 TFLs, and my team got the win. My next favorite one was Rhode Island, technically my freshman year. Unfortunately, we didn't win, so it doesn't really it's not my favorite because we lost. But I mean, I had like 11 tackles, 5.5 TFLs, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So like that game, like everything was it was really just clicking. It was like I just entered that zone. So that was a fun one. And then I'm gonna say Albany from 2023 because on paper Albany had the best 2. They had the 2 DNs with the most sacks in the FBS. And teams didn't really play us how they were playing Albany because of me and my teammate Flex. Like teams were scared of us. Albany wasn't. And they dropped back and passed against us, and I was able to have 2 sacks, and we were able to beat them on homecoming. So probably those 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, some of those games sound like one-man shows, and that's incredible. But I'll go up to Greg. Greg, what you got?
All right, they've talked about hitting the quarterback and tackles for loss and all that other good sort of stuff. But an edge in the NFL has to be able to set that edge to stop the running game. Who's been helping you do that?
Honestly, just everyone at UNH. I I had 5 D-line coaches. With my with me and all my teammates' success, our coaches were able to get better jobs every year. So honestly, just everyone who came through UNH, I learned like as a defense, we learned if we wanted to get sacks and get off the field, that we have to learn how to stop the run. So stopping the run is really is number one if you want to be able to get sacks. So to me, is if I want to be a 3-down defensive player, stopping the run is number one. So yeah, setting the edge is very important, and I enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. Okay. So who is the toughest tackle that you've been up against, and why was he so hard?
Okay. That's a great question. Rhode Island's tackle who transferred to Oregon. His name is Elijah. I don't know if his first name. His last name's Cornelius.
He's the right tackle.
Yes,
for the Oregon Ducks.
Yes. He was at Rhode Island before he transferred to Oregon.
Yep.
We had 2 years where the first year I had 4 sacks. The next year, I had a couple QB hurries, didn't have a sack. He's just very athletic. He knows how to move his feet. Probably the most athletic tackle that I probably played at the FCS level. Richmond, I definitely don't know his name. Richmond had a right tackle in 2021 who was All-American. He was pretty good. Dang. Who else is there? I mean, and then you got the FBS guys. So we played UCF this year. UCF tackle was 6'10", probably the biggest human I had.
Yes, he is a very, very big gentleman. Yes, he is.
Who moves his feet pretty
my
well.
scout reported him as Bond henchman.
He moved his feet pretty well too. He's definitely a good tackle. He's massive. Yeah, those probably the 3 best.
Perfect. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. So let's start with how things have changed for you guys. It's a little bit harder now for you guys rushing the passer, right?
Yes.
When you were going against the I teams, it was simple. For the most part, 50% of the time it was run on first down, so you didn't rush as hard upfield. But with spread, it's pass on any down, RPO on any down. So you guys have to rush differently. Explain to me the difference in your rush on 1st and 10 as opposed to 3rd and 9.
So 1st and 10, for me, it's all about getting my reads and keys before the ball is snapped. So a lot of offensive linemen and offenses in general have a lot of tells and shows. So if I could get the upbeat tell that they're going to pass the ball on 1st and 10, so say the tackle is in a long stance and his pad level is high and I know he's going to pass it, then my mindset then takes me to a 3rd and 10. And it's like, okay, I'm able to get after the QB now because I know it's pass. But if I don't know it's pass, really 1st and 10 pass games is very quick hitters. Offense is just trying to get something positive going, get the drive going. So really 1st and 10, you're really just thinking, okay, win quick. If I don't win, try to get my hands up, bat a ball down because you're knowing it's going to come out quick. 3rd and 9, when you know it's 3rd and must pass, you could just our coach this year told us 3rd and 9, you just have to this is every move that you practice, this is when you get to use them. So 3rd and 9 is just pin your ear back and get off the field. Just find a way to go affect the QB. So that's really the mindset. The change of the mindset is really knowing how much time you have from first down and 3rd down.
All right. Good answer. Good answer. You guys ran a lot of stunts.
Oh yeah, we did.
All right.
We did.
So, what was your favorite stunt? What stunt that every time you heard it in a huddle, you said sack automatic?
So it really depended on two things. It was who we were playing and who I was running the stunt with. So we had a whole bunch of different stunts and blitzes, but my favorite two off the rip. So we had this one stunt. It's kind of not really a stunt, but it's more of a protection. So it gives the defensive ends a two-way go. So like if I want to go inside, I can. And that was really my favorite because I get to read how the tackle is setting me. So like if he oversets me, I don't have to worry about keeping contained because I know my D tackle has me. And then my second favorite is we called it a me game. It's where the defensive end would be the penetrator and the defensive tackle would loop outside for contain. That was really my favorite because I get to be a penetrator, be selfless. And a lot of times teams overset me. So going inside was easier than trying to work edge. So it just gave me that freedom to be able to know that I could go penetrate for my teammate, or if he's going to overset me, I could just go inside and win and get a sack.
All right. Gotcha. So that answer was so good, I totally forgot my next question. Yeah, I see that right now. I was okay. I got this question lined up, and by the time I was like, what was I going to ask her? You know what? Why don't you guys go ahead and I'll use that as my last question.
I'll help you to dig out because I have a couple of things I wanted to ask about.
I'm getting old, Bill. It happens.
It happens. Even to the best of us. So Josiah, I know that some teams have shown interest. You know, the 49ers, the Packers, the Ravens. I think you also had at least sort of brief meetings as well with a couple of the teams. So the Patriots. Is anybody else has reached out?
The Dolphins called me today. One of the scouts called me today. Talking to my agent, I heard the Lions and Saints have interest, and that's all I know is as of right now.
Okay. Of those teams, whether they would be at practice, whether it be at a game, whether it be at your pro day, who has shown the most consistent and maybe the highest level of interest, in your opinion?
I would say the Lions scout. I mean, the Dolphin scout was the first one to reach out to me personally, so I see the Dolphins are up there. The Lions, I have a connection with, so probably those two.
Okay. And I'm assuming you've, maybe once or twice flown on those two teams and looked at what they do on defense, just in case.
Not yet. I'm still trying to build up to see what teams are going to be the best fit for me. So once I get that list is when I'm gonna tune in to watch the film, because I'm a big film guy, so I enjoy watching film. So
that takes me to it's a setup. Tidewater minds think alike. So that takes me to my next question. Film study, once again, in high school, you're looking at tape, but you're doing it because you're told to do it. And then at some point, I saw it click for you, right? Where you went from being a guy that was just watching tape to a guy that was making plays specifically with things he saw on tape. Tell me about your favorite film study play, a play that you could only have made because of something you spotted either about an alignment or a particular, a tendency you'd spotted or something that they sort of gave away and allowed you to make a big play because of something you'd spotted on tape.
I say I kind of didn't really spot it on tape. Like they ran it a couple of times, but I didn't notice the tendency. But they ran it during the game in the first half, and then they tried to come out the second half and ran the same play. It was a little jet touch pass. So they had the Y off the ball, the back was away from me, and they would motion over the receiver, and the H-back would block outside of me, leave me on the island. And I seen the receiver come in motion, and instead of doing my responsibility because I knew what play was coming, I just ran upfield and made a TFL to start the second half in the game that we were trying to gain momentum in. So that was probably my favorite one, just being able to, like, a team ran that same play, being able to fill it out and make the play the second time.
Excellent. Yeah. You can't fool Josiah Silver the same way twice. They should know better.
Yeah, then football just becomes like for me in my time there, like the more playing I got, the more not recognition, but the more I was able to like start feeling things. So like teams would run a whole bunch of like little play action sprint outs, and I was able to recognize when the tight end wasn't really trying to down block me. And I was able to go outside and pull the QB up. So little things like that. That was probably the biggest thing that I learned from like just experience.
Perfect. All right. Tough question for you. What's your favorite meal?
I just cut you. Which didn't always work out for them either. But how do you handle that when a team says, okay, forget it, we can't block him, we're not going to try to block him, we're just going to read him and then play off of what he does?
I mean, not being blocked is pretty. It's whatever. I mean, it makes your job a little bit easier. You don't got to worry about a 300-pound man trying to block you. But in the whole game, like you kind of just realize it just comes with patience and trusting what you see. It took me a little minute to be able to get comfortable to really trust my eyes and be patient, because in high school I just wanted to make plays. But now you just learn to like, okay, do my job, and if the plays to be made, make it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Favorite.
All right.
Favorite
Now,
meal.
Josiah, your favorite meal.
Favorite meal.
It could be breakfast. It could be dinner. It whatever you want.
I'm gonna say dinner, and I'm gonna say I'm at a family reunion. So like my family's huge, from North Carolina, so soul food. So I'm gonna say some fried chicken, a thigh and a leg, some mac and cheese, collard greens, and some meatballs.
There you go.
That's it. That is
work.
that is
Good
very.
answer.
That'll work.
That's
That'll
fantastic.
work. What part of North Carolina, Josiah?
So my mother's from Elizabeth City, Shiloh. My dad's from Rocky Mount.
I have family. in Elizabeth
I
City.
know Rocky Mountain all too well.
Yeah.
My North Carolina, my Elizabeth City cousins are the Langhorns. So if your mom knows any Langhorns, they're probably my cousins.
Wait, Langhorns, is one named Reggie?
Yeah, I am. I have a cousin who was a wide receiver in the NFL named Reggie.
Yes,
Langhorn.
yes. Okay, so him and my uncle were they're accused, and I helped
In
out
everything. If you're a Q, you're a Q to the point that everyone knows you're a Q, and at some point they either accept it or they run from you.
Yeah, so I helped Reggie out. His one of his line brothers was hosting a camp, and they had me come help some of the younger high school guys out. So that's how I know Reggie. That's small world.
Very small world. Once again, North Carolina and the Northeast North Carolina, and of course Tidewater, Virginia, are basically cousins anyway, right? The two parts of the country, they're basically separated. One part of the country is separated by the state line, is what it really is.
Yeah, for sure.
Randall, you have anything else for him?
I don't think I have much. Buffalo needs to replace an edge that excels in the ghost move. Has Buffalo not contacted you?
They have not, but I would love to learn. I would love to learn from Von Miller for a year or two. That was
yeah, I will see if they can reach out, because we need that for sure. Jeff, did you remember your question?
I did. Thank you. So, yeah. See, the wheels are turning. It was getting close to draft time. The tread on the tires is low right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what I want to ask you is basically, before it slips away from me again. All right. What is your best trait that helps you get home on your rushes? Because you're not a guy we call almost, right? There's a lot of guys you can say almost. He almost got there. And almost that, but he almost had it. You know, that's not your tape. Your tape is you're a guy that gets home and gets home often. What is your best trait that helps you get there?
I say the way I use my hands. I say when it comes to hand usage and being able to win in the first 3 steps of the rush and help me get to an offensive lineman's hips, I feel like that is what makes me different from the almost guys. Just the first 3 steps of my rush, I'm able to use my hands and I'm able to win. And then the rest of it is just effort. It's just you just gotta find a way to get there. Cause like not every rush is gonna be a good rush, but if you give maximum effort every single time, you're bound to get a couple without even hitting the best move or winning clean.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
What's the plan for next week?
The plan is just, I'm gonna probably just stay. I'm back home in Hampton, Virginia. Just chill with my mom and dad. I wonder if my sister's gonna come in town. She's currently at Howard, studying to be a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna chill at home. Hopefully, I hear my name called, and then go from there and just keep my head down and attack this like I attack everything else.
Well,
I know you get a chance to run the 40, so this is sort of in make-believe land, obviously. But if you were fully healthy, been able to test fully, what do you think you would have run in the 40?
Fully healthy with the 2 months of training, I think I would have cracked low 4.7s, like a 4.75 ish in that range.
Okay, that's about what my guess was 4.77. So we're of roughly the same mind.
Yeah,
okay,
somewhere in that range.
I got you.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, taking the time in this process. We hope you're enjoying it. And we're going to be pulling for you. We're going to be watching, hoping to see where you land. And when you land somewhere, come on back and share the joy. We're excited to see you guys celebrate your big shot.
We'll do. Anytime. I'm very open and appreciative. I'll come join whenever.
Yeah, if your name is called on Saturday or whatever the case may be, we're on. You can come back with us the following Wednesday. We cover all the picks and all that fun sort of stuff. So you're certainly welcome to do that.
Cool. Bet you said Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Sounds
good. Same time as tonight.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
757. Woo!
So, thanks again, Josiah, for coming on. We appreciate you. Make sure you get some rest. We'll look forward to seeing where this goes next week.
Will do. Thank you guys again for having me.
Take care, Josiah.
Thank you.
Josiah Silva, Edge, New Hampshire. So we're going to roll right into our next guest. Bill, before you get too excited, we got to keep it moving.
I know.
We're going to bring on our next guest, and we're going to talk safety. So now you're going to get even more excited because we're going to talk your old position, and we're going to bring on Jay Jones, Southern Miss. Jay, welcome to the show.
Man, thank you for having me, man. How everybody doing?
Listen, we're in hog heaven. You can't tell a scout 8 days before the draft that to calm down. We don't calm down. We're all ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you players are a lot calmer than what we are right now.
Yeah, gotta be. Can't let the stress get to you.
Right. Well,
so I'm gonna let the guys start it off. We know you got to go, so we're not gonna keep you as late as everybody else. Yeah. But I'm gonna let these guys start it off because they ask a lot more questions than I do. So you guys
I'm gonna narrow it down to just 3 quick ones. So once again, actual factuals. A lot of people discover when they actually get weighed and measured some things about themselves they may not have known. When you actually got your pro day experience, you got very thoroughly weighed, measured, and tested. What was that experience like, and did you hit the numbers you were expecting?
It was a great experience. Couple things. My 40, I wanted 4.4, but they gave me a 4.5. My bench, I felt like I left like maybe 3 more reps in there. My broad jump, I think I did pretty good. I jumped to 10.5. My vertical, I think I was where I'm supposed to be at.
And height and weight, your actual factuals?
6'1.5" and 205.
Okay. Perfect size for a safety. God, I'm so envious. And then my final question, because we're keeping it rapid fire this time. Give me your favorite student of the game play, right? A play that you didn't make because you're some freak athlete, though obviously you are a very good athlete, but because of things you spotted, right? I try to explain to people that I think it's a tough position to play in football nowadays, particularly safety, right? Because they take everything away from you. They make it impossible to play the position, and still people go out and play as well as you do. Tell me about a play you made because you saw something in a tendency or formation, something they did that told you where to go and what to do.
A lot of coaches that was telling us all week. When number 7, it was versus Kentucky. So with number 7, when he comes in motion, it's gonna be a jet sweep to him. And it was 3rd and 1, and I saw him go in motion, and I came down early and met him at the 1 yard. At 3rd and 1, I met him before he can get the first down.
There you go. There you go. Do your job. Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Got the tie and everything to go with your colors.
So do you prefer playing more strong or more free safety?
I say strong.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because you like to come after that running back, don't you?
Yeah, I love to hit.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with smoking a running back, is there?
Nah, no sir.
I'm an old safety as well, so that's Bill and I both were safeties, so we liked hitting running backs as well. That's heaven on earth.
I haven't done it in decades, but I still dream
about
it.
Yeah.
Probably the best feeling, man, when you catch a good one.
Yeah.
Best feeling.
Exactly.
Crowd go crazy, man, and nothing like it.
Right? And if you catch them just right, all the air comes out of them and their eyes bug out. Oh.
Heaven. Go ahead, Randall.
Yeah. So kind of like with that, who was your toughest running back or wide receiver that you had to face in your collegiate career that you got the best of throughout a full game?
I wouldn't say I got the best of them, but the best competition from a running back standpoint, I'll say number 22 from Tulane from 2022. He was a very good running back.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Receiver, I had to say this year, Arkansas State, number 7. I can't remember his name. No disrespect, but yeah, he was a pretty big guy, probably about my size, maybe a little bigger, and could run.
All right, yeah, and that's all I have for you. So Jeff, you can go right.
Tajay Spears, not too shabby. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the most important traits that you could have is eye discipline. All right.
Yes, sir.
So when the times when you're in deeper coverages, break down for me how you're reading pre-snap, trying to find that vertical receiver.
Can you explain that again?
Sure. So you're in deep coverage. They break the huddle. You at the line of scrimmage. Let me know where your eyes are when you're trying to locate the receiver. You know, when you're reading, everybody reads 1, 2. If you have 3 receivers, you're reading 3. Which so break down that process for me.
I don't understand your question. I apologize. I'm kind of sleepy. My bad.
No problem. Listen, I understand. All right, so you're in. I'm gonna make it even simpler. You're in cover 2. You're one of the 2 safeties.
Yes, sir.
You have doubles both sides. Okay, you know there's going to be a vertical route coming. You got your half of the field. You got 2 receivers there, not even counting the back. One of them's got to be vertical. So, what are your eyes going to find that vertical receiver that's attacking your vertical zone?
We're going straight to number 2 receiver. That's what they taught us to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know if that was detailed. I'm sorry, that wasn't detailed enough.
That's detailed enough. That's detailed enough. Trust me, I coach DBs, and at times I can't get that answer. So that's detailed enough. Right? Give me a play, and much like Bill said, where you talked about breaking it down, where it just came naturally. You didn't have to think about it. You saw it, you reacted, and made the play instantly. Right.
The first play that came to mind, the play I explained earlier versus Kentucky, man, that was probably it surprised me because he was very fast. I didn't know I was gonna meet him that fast. So yeah, that was probably the play. I was like, man, I didn't even know ability. It was just reaction.
All right, perfect. Last one. So when you're playing closer to the box, all right, before matching up with tight ends, if you were a superior athlete, was easy. They were big and slow. They were just basically big tackles. Now these tight ends are more flex tight ends. They have the ability to beat you vertically. They may not always be the greatest blockers, but they have make you miss ability in space. How are you able to match up with these guys, knowing that, yes, I'm going to fill the run, I'm going to do all that stuff, but I can't let this guy beat me vertically also?
Yeah, and I didn't hear it was going in and out.
Yeah. So let me move closer. Playing closer to the line, matching up against these flex tight ends. How are you able to still run fit and be effective in a running game, but still maintain your coverage on these vertical tight ends?
Just having great eyes, and you got to read your keys and all that. And, these tight ends are slow, man. You gonna know if they running a route or they just coming to block you or not. They can't really fool me, man. I be knowing.
Okay. See, no, that is a confident DB. We love that. We love that. The guys you worry about he's real fast. I don't know how I kept up with him. I don't know how you kept up with him. I wasn't thinking like that. But see, that's the confidence you want in the DB. Last questions, guys, before we get ready to let Jay go.
I'm good.
Oh, well,
go ahead, Bill.
My last question is, who do you like to watch? Are there guys that you maybe learn from or study? Because
James.
I love James. You were right. That was a good place to go.
All right, Jay, here's a tough one. What's your favorite meal?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I'm very simple. Probably like some pizza. My mom cooked some great spaghetti, so that's probably my favorite meal.
Good
We've got a pasta man, our first pasta guy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, now I'm going to make it difficult for you, really. What kind of pizza?
Like I said, I'm simple, so pepperoni, I do.
Pepperoni, okay.
Another
Deep
good answer.
dish, regular pan pizza, hand tossed.
Hand toss.
Okay. I'm a New York guy. We're really particular about the pizza. So they start talking about the deep dish stuff. We got to go, is that really pizza? I mean,
yeah.
It's not.
Well, Jay, next week is the big week. What's the plan?
Big week.
Man, just keep working out and just keep praying, keep God first, and just hoping I get a call.
Very good.
All right. Well, like we tell everybody, listen, we're excited for you guys. Enjoy the process. Not everybody gets to go through this. And you get your name called, you get called afterwards. Like I said, you're more than welcome to come on and share the joy. Because, we're excited for you guys. And, some of us didn't get the process, so we're living vicariously through you.
I got a question for y'all. What school? I know you say you play safety and you play. So what school did y'all play at?
Well, for me, I only played up to high school football here in Canada.
Okay.
Green Run High School and Norfolk State University.
All right.
Yes, I played for Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx, and I went to Grambling to walk on, but I left early and I played minor league ball after that. So,
How was that experience?
Well, it was an experience for me because I went there for Eddie Robinson, and getting to meet the man made my day. But unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play for Eddie Robinson. I left early. I became a dad. So, in dad life took over for me, and I played minor league ball after that. But it was not a total eye-opener. I spent a lot of time around Bill's alma mater, Norfolk State. My sister was a Norfolk State alumni. So I kind of got a little bit of HBCU life. Then I got the full experience when I went to Grambling. And it was a totally different experience for a guy from the Bronx going to Grambling, Louisiana in the 90s when it was old school Grambling, not what it is now. I don't even recognize the campus anymore now when I see
it. Man, it's different now.
Oh, yeah. You guys are definitely in a better generation, trust me, because it was a lot different in the 90s in the deep south.
Yes, sir.
Try the 80s when I first went down there.
Well, I wasn't going to throw your age out there, Greg.
Yeah. The HBCU experience is definitely something that I think is separate and distinct, right? We had our Battle of the Bay versus Hampton, and we also had a pretty good rivalry going with a couple other schools. And of course, we're excited because Mike Vick has come back home, right? And he's now our head coach. But it's I should have talked to Josiah about that, but the Tidewater area where I grew up, it's not as well known as Texas, it's not as well known as parts of Georgia or even obviously Florida or California. But pound for pound, right? For when you look at the population, no city over about 400,000 people. But look at the number of NFL Hall of Famers that come out of like the area where I grew up. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, Ace Parker, if you go way back in the day. But there's been a lot of guys that came out of there and went on to be terrific college players. And like I said, Hall of Fame type guys come out of that area. It's a special thing, right? And obviously you grew up in the Deep South where football is basically God and then football. So I think
Alabama.
Right. Yeah. God, then football. Right. Sometimes some people get the order mixed up, but for most people, God, then football.
Yes, sir.
Well, Jay, thanks for joining us. We're going to shout out Chris. We got to shout out Chris for getting you on here because Chris has been loading us up with you guys.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to Chris
for getting you on. We're hoping for the best. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Get some rest because we know you got some more work to do.
Actually, I got to get up at 6 in the morning, work out.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Do it.
See, that's where us old Catholics go.
God
bless you.
Yes, sir.
But it was great having you, Jay.
Yes,
sir, man. Appreciate y'all taking y'all time to have me on your show.
And we look forward to speaking to you when you get your name called, whether it be during the draft or right after. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're gonna make some scouts some money. Watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I am.
He's gonna get his bonus because Jay Jones came in.
Yes, sir. Man, thank y'all.
Thank you.
You take care, Jay.
Thank you.
That is Jay Jones, safety from Southern Mississippi. Southern Mississippi. I'm about to mess it up. Southern Mississippi.
Yep. No, you got it.
All right, guys. So we've had some great guests tonight. We're back next week. It is the night before the draft. Woo. It is final mock night.
Yeah.
It is guest galore. And then it is 3 days of nothing but seeing where the chips land. And I can't wait. I can because I'm still doing work. So I can't wait 8 more days. What about you guys? We're almost there.
Yeah. I'm chasing down, stuff I'm hearing, obviously, like everybody else. Most of it is got a little yeast in it, I think is how my great-grandmother used to say. A lot of what I'm hearing now is stuff that doesn't pass the sniff test. But nonetheless, I always check, I investigate. To young people, you'll be shocked how much information you get by simply picking up the phone and calling people. I know that maybe young people are afraid to do it. Just pick up the phone. I'm shocked by the number of times I'll just call a coach, and if I can get a hold of them, right? High school coach, college coach, and say, I just want 2 minutes of your time, and ask them something about a player. And sometimes they're too busy, but a shockingly high amount of time they'll talk to you. Don't be afraid. Pick up the phone and call. Free game.
Yep. Who's the one player who's not being seen in first round mocks that you think could be a first round pick?
That's a fun one.
I'll give you my guy.
Go for it.
Donovan Jackson.
Jackson, possibility.
I think he could very well be taken down in that Detroit range and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, if he's there when Kansas City picks, I don't know why they wouldn't take him. I mean, good Lord, they need offensive line talent and depth. They need talent and depth on that offensive line desperately. Yeah, that's one. Let me think of who else I think might be. I mean, Ravel's in some people's mocks, so I guess he's not really a good one. What's a good one? That's a really good one because there's so many different people who are in like this. There's not so much consensus this year, so that's a harder question than would have been some years. Because I see so many different mocks with so many different people in them. Who would I say? That's a great question, Greg.
While you're thinking about it, Bill, I'll say this. In early mocks, he was there. I'm not seeing him anymore because people aren't seeing more than 3-4 wide receivers going in the first, but Luther Burton.
Okay, that was the guy I was going to say too. Well, darn it. I should have said Luther Burton.
Just because we're here, you know? Yeah, Luther, because they keep sporadically saying the wide receivers are going to go in round 1. Burton's that guy I see going early round 2, but he could easily sneak into the back end.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Once again, I mentioned Kansas City. I mean, Pittsburgh obviously could use other things, but he would really be good in their offense because now you've got that guy who is dangerous in the slot. Now you've got your 2 big outside guys and that super quick machine in the slot. Oh my God, could that do business? And there's a lot of places. I think the marketplace starts from in the mid-20s, and he could make it, to the early 30s. But I wouldn't be shocked if he went somewhere between 25 and 31.
Well, if you ask Will, and Will, he wants George Pickens out of there in a big way. So hey, Luther Burton would be a perfect replacement for George Pickens, right?
Yeah, well, George Pickens isn't going anyplace. But you put all three of them. You put Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Pickens, and Mr. Burton on the same field. You're going to give some people some headaches.
Exactly. Randall, I think there's a woo Pig Suey guy that you want to mention.
Oh, right.
Oh, I mean, Landon Jackson, full opportunity to get. I mean, his athleticism is too intriguing. Buffalo's met with him about 5 or 6 times. I wouldn't be surprised because you're looking at upside. He immediately defends the run and sets the edge very well. And then you learn into the pass rush, just like Greg Rousseau when he came to Buffalo. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sneaks into that later round, most definitely. And then hopefully Andrew Armstrong will get in the top 100. I think he's a top 100 talent, and then he gets in there as well.
See, Russo in that draft class is one of my favorite edge rushers. And people are like, you like him a lot better than – yeah, I did like him better than Phillips. I did. And I thought Phillips against the run was a little more liability than Russo was. But Phillips was way more explosive, and it shows.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think when you look at Landon Jackson, he has a lot of those traits. Very quick off the ball, does a lot of those things. But he's a very disciplined rusher. He's not one of those guys who just flies off the ball just to fly off the ball. He's a guy that has method to his madness. He just hasn't built all the tools up to go in there and be able to use a bunch of diverse moves. So I think he's one of those guys where you eventually look at him building up his repertoire, he's going to be a real tough rusher for years to come. It's just a matter of those early years of him learning how to play against NFL tackles who understand when you have just 2 pitches.
Most definitely. And I think he thinks he has more Ben than he does. And just like you don't have it, right? Like Rashawn Gary kind of had that for a little bit. Like you don't have it, it's okay. You can't win that way. Figure out a different way, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't think I could see him not making it past the Eagles at 32 if he is at the end of the first. I could see a team that doesn't have to pick for needs, just saying we're going to teach this guy, we're going to get it out of him. And I mean, if any team can, it's clearly that team. They understand how to develop people. Not every team does, right? That's been proven that not every team does. But the Eagles have pretty much figured out how to develop talented players.
And he's from the SEC, which means something to Howie. So there you go, right?
Also,
So
sweet spot for you guys, Upton Stout.
Late third, probably late
early
third.
fourth for me. Yeah.
Late third, early fourth.
Yeah, I'm in that range. He's got a 3-4 for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's more because they're pigeonholing him as a nickel outside. So I think if you have that ability to play both, it boosts your stock. So I think they're just looking at him as a nickel.
Yeah, they are.
And they don't see him as an elite nickel. So I think that's exactly where he's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We are rolling. So we're not going to keep everybody too late tonight because we're going to be here all 4 days in a row next week. And all 3 days of the draft plus our regular Wednesday night, which is going to be long because once we get through the mocks, we got a bunch of guests behind it. So we're going to be burning. Get your coffee and your meal ready, and it's going to be a lot of work next week. You get to hang out with us, and you get to enjoy Randall a lot more.
There we go.
Will be joining us consistently, here. So you have to hear me talk as much, which is amazing.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on. And now that I'm actually on camera with the draft with the Team MBS media, I need to ask Bill if I can become part of the parish for Jonas Sanker because I am a huge Jonas Sanker fan.
Yes.
And Buffalo drafts their DBs based on the Senior Bowl, and we have 3 strong safeties. I know Jonas Sanker does both. But we're too loaded. We're too loaded on the strong side. I think Jonas Sanker can fit right into Buffalo's DB room.
Yes. Well, God bless you, my son. I am an ordained minister in the Sankerite faith, so I am able to, if you are interested, you can start as an acolyte and eventually work your way up. But yes, if you want to hear the good news of Jonas Sanker, I am here to preach that gospel.
Yeah,
see,
I appreciate you.
I told you this last week when we were on Jim's epic mock. And I said Bill Carroll is the minister of Sankerism. He's the man.
Yeah.
Well, he was also on my list. So.
Oh yeah.
But he's definitely a player that I'm excited to see come into the NFL.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, so this next week is the only time with those 3 days where Bill doesn't outdress the crew. Okay, so
that's right.
So we hope you got your finds ready for night 1 and night 2, Randall, because we're suiting up day 1 and day 2. So we're suiting up day 1. Day 3, we're a little more blue collar. You don't have to wear the tie. You want to wear the jacket, you can wear the jacket. You don't have to.
Yeah, but, and Bill Carroll is not allowed to wear his tie on the Saturday. No.
I will lose the tie for the last day. I will. For day 3, I'll lose the tie.
He loses that tie on day 3. It's a beautiful thing.
That's the turkey sandwich day. That's the day we're sitting here chumming down. We're here all day long.
Yeah.
I got I'll have my setup. My box of Joe will be sitting right here. I have my, I'll be fully loaded for that one. So yeah. Listen, we are in it for the long haul. We appreciate everybody that sticks it out for those 3 days. We had record views last year. We're hoping to top that this year.
We will.
Once again, you can have the big networks on the TV, have us in the back. You'll learn a lot more. Final thoughts, guys, for the night before we wrap this up.
I know I say this about a lot of our guests, but I'm incredibly impressed with each and every one of them. And I know once again, I am not at all objective about Josiah Silver. I just think he's wildly undervalued. I just think he's going to be so much better than most people think. He has such a high pass rush IQ, and it's translatable. And he's a good enough athlete. He's not a super freak, but then I would like to remind people that, look at Terrell Suggs' testing numbers. Like, they're He really understands how to set guys up. He has such a great sense of when to use his moves and how to use his moves. Even if he doesn't become a full-time player, he's a rotational guy. He's going to produce, I promise you.
And again, he understands how to set the edge against the run as well. That is something that he was very good at, and that's something that I can't stomach out of certain edges in the NFL who don't understand how to stop the damn run. Oh, am I speaking to you again, Micah? Yeah, you. No.
Well, part of that is on the DC. They do say play the run to the QB. Well, that means play fast. Sometimes it's a little too fast.
Bingo.
Bingo. As an offensive coordinator, we used to love it when we get those hard chargers up the field on early downs. Oh, great. I'm going to run draw right underneath you.
Go on. That's it. You're not even going to be a factor. You're not in the play. I mean, that's something that has driven me crazy for quite some time. Not just Micah Parsons, but there has been other edge guys who only go after the quarterback, and it drives me off the deep end.
You see, people didn't realize when you run lead draw, you can run it strong and weak. It doesn't just have to go one way. All right?
That's right.
And so you take advantage of that wide 9 that's playing on the weak side. All right. Okay, you're going to rush in the weak side. We'll run it right at you too. Yes, we.
Well, TJ Watt suffered that against Rico Dodell this year.
Yeah, that's true.
Rico's first game that he was the running back for the Cowboys. He tore apart TJ Watt that day, and TJ was coming after Dak. Well, guess what? It didn't help him.
Yeah, well, that's a memory now because he's not a Cowboy anymore.
No, he's a Carolina Panther.
Yes. Well, he's back in the Carolinas. Let's look at that. He went to South Carolina, and now he's in North Carolina with the Panthers. So, okay. Well, it's time for us to get ready for next week, so we'll be back. Make sure you're tuning in tomorrow night. Special interview, a spotlight interview. Ashwin Prasad's going to host, and the commissioner of Major League Football, Adam McLean, is going to join her. They'll talk about the new league, his ideas. Fall football coming at you twice with Major League Football and the NFL. So make sure you tune in for that. That'll be live 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and all those times in between. Yeah, you guys know. In the middle time zones.
6 Central, 5 Mountain.
I wasn't going to break all of those down, Greg. We covered coast to coast.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Gunny, you have to be too detailed. You got to. I know. It's the Marine in you.
That's right.
You
know.
Hoorah!
You know. I'm shocked that you didn't say 2100. You know.
I have an understanding of the 24-hour clock, but most people do not. So I don't.
Yes.
Which is a darn shame because it's so much more efficient.
It is so much more efficient than.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that I understood it before I got into TV, because doing TV logs and you're reconning them, you have to understand the 24-hour clock. Because you know, if you're looking at an AS run, it's in the 24-hour clock. It's not.
They use it in logistics. It's a lot of it, and frankly, everyone should use it. But that's just me.
Yeah. So thank God, I had a Marine as a father that taught me the 24-hour clock well before I got into TV, because it's like, okay, what time is 1858? Oh no, that's 6:58 p.m. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, also speaking French as a kid, it was a 24-hour clock en français as well. So I had it with me my whole life.
I only took French 1 year, so I don't remember none of it. I can tell you that right now. I don't remember none of it. I took Spanish 7 years. I remember 6 sentences. Okay, it's just it is what it is. I speak two languages fluently: English, bad English. That's it.
Yeah, and if there's more than 4 vowels in a name, Jeff is going to mess it up.
Oh,
Okay?
you're darn right. Just wait till we get to day 3 and all those African names start coming off the board. Yeah.
Bill and I usually will announce.
We usually
those
dig them
guys.
out. Yeah, we usually dig
The
them out.
Polynesian names start getting announced. I'm going to be all messed
He's
up.
gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Maliki Matavayo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was the easy one. That's the easy
7
one.
is.
That was easy.
It's the automatic
Yeah.
years of the world. They can get me to, it long get me. It only took me to get Tuiasa Sopo right. You know what I mean?
That was hard, yeah.
I'm in Tampa. I still say Vita Vea because I don't say his whole name.
No. And not many people do.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And nor do I say
Tua's
tackle
actual
to-
name. Yeah.
yes, the tackle
Oh.
of Phillips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't even bother. Don't even bother. Okay? Ugh.
All right.
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap this up. Thanks
Yes,
for
we
watching,
will.
everybody. For Randall, I had to say
Thanks.
Randall because Randall's
Yeah.
a new addition.
Thank you.
Randall.
Thank you.
Greg, Bill, Carol, myself. Thanks for watching. We will be back next week. It is draft week next week.
Draft
We'll see you
week.
next week.
Good night.